And the United States has intensified its sanctions on Russia's oil industry, creating significant disruptions across Asia. Oil tanker rates have jumped by 39% in the wake of these new measures. These sanctions, the toughest yet, target producers, insurers and vessels involved in Russian oil trade, impacting major importers like China and India. Together, these nations have benefited from discounted Russian crude since the Ukraine invasion in 2022. However, the new measures have thrown their trade agreement into disarray. Independent refiners in China's Shandong province, known as teapots, held emergency meetings over the weekend to assess the impact on shipments already en route. In India, refiners, which rely on Russia for a third of their crude imports, are bracing for months of supply chain disruptions as they navigate the legal and operational fallout. Data from analytics firm Kepler highlights the scale of disruption. Last year, over 530 million barrels of Russian crude were transported on now sanctioned tankers, accounting for 40% of the country's seaborne exports. China imported over 300 million barrels of this, representing 61% of its seaborne Russian oil imports. The sanctions are expected to raise oil prices and shipping costs, impacting profitability for Chinese refiners, especially the smaller teapots. Diesel prices in China have already spiked in reaction to the sanctions. Meanwhile, Indian refiners are studying the sanctions with their legal teams, assessing risks to their purchases of Russian Urals crude. To counter these challenges, Asian refiners and operators are now exploring a workaround for this. In China, sanctioned Russian crude may be diverted to smaller private terminals instead of major ports and transported using trucks rather than pipelines. Ports in Shandong have highlighted vigilance, while refiners reliant on discounted Russian and Iranian oil are now reconsidering their strategies. The sanctions also impact the shadow fleet of tankers, local financiers and storage operators that have enabled yuan-dominated trade in Russian oil.